Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, Money Queens. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Today, we are going to go into the healing journey. We're going to be talking about betting and risking on yourself, because if you can't do it on yourself, who's going to risk it on you? I am Jessica Weaver, your host, and today, if you don't know her already, she is my work wife, my ride or die, my bestie. We talk nonstop all day long. She's been in my world for several years now, but we have Ilissa Goman with us today. Ilissa is our creative director at Women's Wealth Boutique and jessicaweaver.com. She's also the owner of Ilissa and Company, a strategy and implementation agency. Ooh, I like the name of that agency, of women that takes you as a business owner from doing all the things to being the next big thing. How about that, ladies? She's a lifelong entrepreneur, minus a few years at the gas station. We're going to get into that. Girl at the gas station. She lives in upstate New York with her daughter, her chickens. Oh, we have so many stories that we could go into today. We are so excited to have Ilissa finally with us on Women Behind the Millions, because she really, truly is probably the biggest advocate for women doing it. Every day long, she says to me, you go big or you go home. That's what we are about here at the Women's Wealth Boutique at JW. So thank you, Ilissa, for being with us.
Yay, I'm so excited to be talking with you today.
Oh, there's so many. We've been working together for several years now, and every woman needs to have somebody like Ilissa with building it. She's the reason we can do all that we do. I know my client's like, how are you doing it? I'm like, because we have Ilissa and her amazing team. It's not just her. She has an entire team behind her that is supporting us, our advisors, even this podcast, getting it to you ladies. So I love having her come out from kind of behind the scenes and putting her on the forefront, because she has so much to give this world. So much.
Yay. Thank you.
She's being modest here. You can tell. So, Ilissa, what does it feel like to go from the girl at the gas station, and we're going to get into your story, but to go from the girl at the gas station to being the lead creative director at our very fast growing firm?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. You know, I look back now and, you know, I've said it a million times, like to friends and on social media, but like that girl could not imagine where I am today. Like it was not a possibility. It was not even in the realm of like what I thought I would be doing. So yeah, it's incredible. I love it.
What is one thing that you could go back and tell yourself at that time in your life?
That you just have to keep going. Like you just got to take the chance and keep going and keep believing in yourself, even when you feel like nobody else is. It's you that has to like pull yourself up and do it. So yeah,
keep going. I'm sure everybody who's listening right now, they've had their own gas station version and their own stories, or maybe they're at their gas station. It's a bad relationship, a dead end job, miserable, unhappy, frustrated. And how many times you're like, was it me?
Right.
Am I the problem?
Right.
Did you ever feel that way?
Oh, for sure.
This is what work is. This is what adulting is going to be. And that's what I really want.
Yes. Well, and I think too, you know, a lot before I kind of went on my healing journey, I just kept thinking like, I'm doing everything and nothing is working. Like, why isn't it my turn? Right. Like I just kept telling myself, like, why isn't it my turn? I don't understand. Like, I'm always the nice one, right? Like I always put others before me. And you know, why can't it be my turn? It just was like everyone else is doing it and succeeding, and like, you know, why isn't it my turn? So, you know, I just had to turn things around for myself. I put myself first to get there. So
Yeah, it's true. You do get into the spot of waiting and waiting and trying to see. And sometimes God is protecting you
yeah,
from
yeah,
a bad, let's say, right? Prince Charming. Oh, he's going to come and save me. And Prince Charming's a dick.
yeah,
Like, oh, thank goodness I didn't go along that boat and get
yeah,
affected even more. But
yeah,
let's dive in. How, tell us about a little bit about your story.
yeah, yeah. So um, I mean, growing up was like pretty relatively smooth. When I got into, the teenage years, I went through like a lot of bullying in school, and it was related to some abuse I had been through. So that was like incredibly difficult. And I just never felt like I had kind of a place in this like world generally. Like I just kind of was like,
Didn't feel like you fit in with
yeah,
friends or the crowd.
for sure. And, it just was like, this is the track you're supposed to follow. And I was never quite on it. Not in a bad way, just like I just was like, I don't know if that's me, but like, you would just do things, right? You're like, well, I'm supposed to do that. Okay, let's do it. And I never felt aligned, right? And so I always felt like the weirdo, right? Like I'm the odd one out. Um, but so I started going to college on almost a full scholarship and decided like I didn't like it, right? Um, and I left college and started working at a gas station because like, well, I got to do something, right? Like, and growing up, a lot of kind of the mindset in my family that was kind of always pushed was like, you go to college, you make something of yourself. If you don't go, like, it's going to be hard. You're going to struggle the rest of your life. Like,
Oh, no. So that's a new story. Your theme. Well, I have to struggle now.
right, exactly. And like no matter what I do, like I'm not going to be smart enough now like to do anything else other than, you know, just be doing like these kind of I never want to say menial because like I feel like if you feel like you're supposed to be at the gas station, then by all means go work at the gas station. But like, I always knew I had like ambition. Just my mindset was like, you're not going to be anything because you didn't go to school and you don't know what you want to do with your life. And like, so it was always kind of a big struggle. Um, and part of it too is that like I'm a creative, right? And you always have that kind of like starving artist idea in your head. Like, oh, it's, how are you going to get paid for your art and your, kind of, I kind of do woo woo stuff too. Like, it's like, what is that going to pay?
Yeah, that romantic story of that artist and
Yeah,
couch hopping, and it's not about the money.
right.
It is about the money.
Yeah, but it is. I need to live. So, so I was working at this gas station and, a couple kind of like, money things kind of came up, which I always find, very interesting. One was that when I had dropped out of college, I was working, just kind of small hours during college to make, extra money. And a guy that I was working with at the gas station had said to me, like, you're never going to leave this gas station. And I was like, great.
That encouragement.
Right.
Can't wait to see what tomorrow brings.
Me when I'm down. Why not? Right. So, that was incredibly hard, right? It's like another, a male figure in my life also, being like, nope, it's not going to work out for you. So, I got married really young. Like that was the next, like, you're supposed to do this. If you're not going to go to college, then, start a family, go down that path. And so that's what I thought I had to do. And, I worked really hard. Like I was working 40 plus hours a week at the gas station. And at one point was told, we're giving you a raise. And I was like, okay, great. It was like, and I was laughing at another podcast I just recorded about this because it was like either a dime or a quarter an hour raise, right? I was making like $10 an hour and I was like, a quarter. Yeah. Like that's like $10 a week. Like,
Really add up at the end of the day.
like what? And, So I was told I was getting the raise, was really excited. And a few months later, we had like a management change in between. And a few months later was told that because the manager changed out, they weren't giving me the raise. And I was like, okay. So like another, you're just like, I'm working really hard here. I don't understand I after I think I stayed there like another 6 months or so, 9 months, and then went and nannied, for some families. But again, like with the nannying, was able to just like build my business in the background. Like it was flexible enough where, if there's a nap time, I could kind of keep working on things and learning things. But we had no money. Like this was not some like I married rich story. Like this was like I married okay and we got by, but like, by no means was this like, a husband coming in to save me. And I knew like that I was made for something more and that I was going to have to make it happen. So that's what I started doing, while working as a babysitter and a nanny. So,
Whatever you could do to get by. And like you said, having that flexibility, because
yeah,
building something else,
yeah,
did that help keep you going?
for sure. For sure. And I tried like a lot of different businesses. This was not just like, oh, I just like exploded as like a creative director, right? Like, at one point we had gotten a little bit of money from an inheritance. I think maybe it was like $10,000. This was not like, $100,000, big inheritance or anything. But, I was like, well, I was able to pay up a credit card and then used that credit card again, jacked it right up to open a retail store. And because it was what I really wanted. Like I was like, this is what I want to do. It was like a baby product store. I had worked with kids my whole life, was like,
Yes.
this is the ticket, right? Yeah. And shortly after, or it was right about the same time we signed the lease, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter and was super, super sick the entire pregnancy, working at the store,
That's
had her. It was rough. And then, had her. And, when she was 2 weeks old, she was at the retail store with me because like we couldn't afford daycare. And right. And, what are you going to do? So she was at the store with me. And when she hit like 3 or 4 months, the lease was up. And I was like, it's not sustainable. And I had to call it quits on that. And, it's hard to, think you're giving up on your dream or giving up on yourself, but knowing you have to do it, right? Like you can't dig a bigger hole. So I think as an entrepreneur too, you kind of got to know when to pivot things, right? Like if it's not working out, don't beat a dead horse. Like you just gotta change it up. But yeah, I did the retail store. I had gotten my sleep coaching certification right around the same time. And so luckily was able to do that. I started it and was able to do that at home. And again, just like babysat and nannied, kind of off and on just to make ends meet while that was getting up and running. And did that. So yeah.
Yeah, she's a sleep coach. So anybody who's listening who has kids, we forget about this because she does so many other amazing things.
Yes.
But what I'm noticing is you kind of like you're being very flexible and knowing to pivot, but also lining up what is next.
Yeah.
It's almost like you kind of knew. So you're walking in the door. Nope, not that door. That's not for me. This door. Nope, that door's not for me. But you kind of have your eyes on, okay, what is that next opportunity?
Yeah.
Or what can I do? Especially as your life is changing, getting married, having a kid.
Yeah. 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 And I think too, like, again, you just have to, like, if you're like, you have to understand, like, entrepreneurship is not, one, it's not for everybody, right? It's not like just a get rich quick thing, right? I have a post coming out where we're recording this around Christmas time. And my post for around Christmas time, says like, oh, overnight success in quotes, right? Because like now, if you just joined my journey now, you're like, whoa, like this is amazing. But if you didn't know the past, 15, 20 years, like, it's a whole different ballgame. But yeah, you got to know when to keep believing in yourself. Like I said, like when you feel like no one else is, you just got to keep going and, and change things up, right? You can't just be like, this is the only path to success you have in your mind, right? You have to kind of trust that things are moving around and working for you. And I think that has been kind of a big part of my journey is, I truly live with like no regrets, that like every single thing has lined up for the exact reason, down to the fact that I bought my coffee this morning, right? Or like every little thing, right? Not to give people anxiety, because I get like that too, but like every decision, it really has led you to where you are. Like there are no wrong decisions, right? You just make the best of it. Yeah, you make the best of it in the moment and just keep going. So yeah.
In your story, you talk a lot about the shoulds. I should be going to college. I should get married. This is when I should have kids.
Yeah.
And we do get very blinded by what we should be doing. And what are the shoulds even coming from our parents? And it's coming from their parents, right? It's multi-generational, or
Yes.
society, or it's how your parents are influenced or your friends are influencing you. But for me, because I, over the last few years, been a part of your journey more and more as we become closer and closer, seeing how you've been scraping those shoulds away.
Yeah.
And really, I think that's what God does a lot of the times is we going through these paths and he's stripping away. No, you're chasing somebody else's version of success. No, you're living up to somebody else's expectations. But what is it that you, Ilissa, want to do in this world?
Yeah.
I'm curious because you're a tech maven. You have it in your signature. How did you get so good at technology?
Yeah.
And I have to say to the listeners here, the people that are best at technology, I'm thinking of you, and we have another good friend, Ashley. They didn't finish college, but they're amazing at technology. Like that's a huge myth that you have to go to college or you'll struggle.
Yes.
But how did you get so good at it?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it just goes back to like we didn't have any money. Like everyone
was just figuring it out.
I had to figure everything out for myself, just like WordPress, everything, and that's really how all of my knowledge really grew with business. And I will say, I do think, we all have innate, like built-in kind of skills, right? And I think part of that is also, your human design, which I won't dive into today, but it's such a fascinating aspect of things. But, I come from a very like artistic, but also mechanical family, right? I have both that A and B side, and I'm really like split. I truly am like both
You speak
sides
both
of it.
languages.
Yes. And so on one hand, it's incredibly a great blessing. And on the other hand, it's chaos. But it's, it has worked really, really well. But yeah, no, I had to learn everything because we didn't have the money. People would be like, oh, just hire a website designer. It's like $2,000. I'm like, from where? Where would I do that? Where would that money go? Right. Like, I'm just scraping by. I'm just, putting food on my table. And, I was like, I got to get out of this hole. Like, how am I going to do that? So, I had to learn everything. And like I said, every piece of the story, it all added up to here. Right. So perfect.
Hey lady, how many times do you see yourself repeating these patterns in your life? We tend to get stuck. Let's take income, for example. We usually get stuck in this income range. We will only allow ourselves to earn so much income, and it usually is a range that one we grew up around. So maybe your parents earned $100,000 a year. That's what you're used to. Your peers, what are your peers earning? We usually get stuck within those income ranges as well. What your spouse is earning, just what is the wealth that you are used to, you're comfortable with, you're familiar with. That is, it's become your safety net. That's become your zone that you are going to stay in, and you're going to see yourself repeating patterns of going for the wrong job, in the wrong relationship, overspending yourself. Every time when I talk with clients, like the same ones are always in credit card debt. That's what they become used to. So it's always going to be a recurring pattern until they do the inner works to figure out why, until they realize what are these upper barriers that are keeping me stuck in this zone. And I see it with myself. I almost feel like I need to sacrifice. I need to suffer. I need to suffer for the income to come in. That is a recurring pattern. And where is it from? It's from my father. And I'd always hear him say, my mother, well, buy that next quarter, next month, always pushing it off. And in my mind, it always felt like there's never enough. There's never enough to save, pay off debt, and use and have fun with now. And it's a recurring pattern that I'm breaking myself free of. It's kind of like this chain around me, and realizing that it's such a pattern. It's what I'm used to. It's what I'm comfortable. How do we stretch beyond that? Well, can you even envision your life earning $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $1 million a month? Can you even imagine what that amount of money would look like and feel like, and how you would use it? We keep ourselves comfortable at these certain income or net worth levels because we don't trust ourselves with that extra money that's coming in. Will we blow it? Will we best use it? So a real easy thing that you can do right now is write it down. Write down how you would use that extra money, what that extra money would do for your life, your family's life, your community, giving back, what that would mean to all of the people around you. Then you can start to see this money's coming in. It has a purpose. As you know me, the money queen, we always give each and every dollar in our life purpose. That dollar is to pay this, that dollar is to pay off that dollar is to go to donate, to go back, to invest back in myself. And always have that bucket of investing back into yourself. So what do we learn? See what you are familiar with. What level of money are you familiar with? Start envisioning that next level. What does that look like? Talk to people at that next level. Interview them. Surround yourself with them. Write down what you would do with that money as it's coming into your life so you can build the trust and keep expanding each time. Don't get stuck at a certain level. You can go for more. You can be grateful for what you have while wanting for more. Going back into my Confessions of a Money Queen book. All right? Let's get going, ladies. Let's start expanding. Let's stop sacrificing. Let's stop suffering. Let's stop repeating patterns that are no longer serving you.
It makes so much sense why college didn't work for you, because you're a hands-on learner.
Yeah.
Right. You learn through experience and really diving into a project, figuring out how to build a website instead of just sitting there learning it from a presentation.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense why you took the other approach. I mean, I'm just going to dive in. I'm going to figure this. I'm going to be scrappy. I'm going to figure it out.
Totally. Exactly.
And how you work so well with entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs usually, right, we're visionaries.
Yes.
We're thinking projects, but we're not very practical. We don't have that engineering side, detail oriented, like just get it done. So you're able to talk the entrepreneur's language with the guidance side, but then you are an entrepreneur's best friend because they need that other side on how do I actually implement this idea and bring
it. Yes. And I think too, I think I said it in my Women Behind the Millions, the magazine article, where I kind of call myself a dreams midwife, right? Where I am able to get your ideas out and help your true self. Yeah. Help your true self shine, really, but still reining it in, right? So that practical aspect to how to actually get those things done to get to your big goal eventually, right? Yeah.
Yes. You've recently written an article for our magazine that accompanies this podcast, Women Behind the Millions. And it was about breaking up or blasting, tearing down the self-induced box. Now, self is your system that you created that's helped all of our advisors, helped me, helped you. Talk to us about this system self.
Yeah. So self basically is a huge, it's kind of the culmination of my healing journey. So I've, it's been a 6-year process. It's still in process. But healing is forever. Yeah, healing is forever. But self really came out of it because I've been working with a lot of clients, right? And people generally hire me for the tech aspect, right? Or on a small project basis. And I just realized that behind the scenes, like I was really implementing my strategy behind it. And so I call it the self-made biz magic. And basically what it is self stands for your success vision, your empowered views, your life goals, your financial mindset, and friction, right? And these are all the things that basically hold us back and prevent us. Like when you don't have yourself in your business, you're playing by all those shoulds and supposed tos, right? And it's like a mismatch of energy. And clients, potential clients, people read that immediately. And they're like, like it's not necessarily, it's like their inner self is, can tell like, oh, she's just kind of like chasing the money, or like it's just not, there's not an alignment there, right? It creates a distrust. And so when you are kind of your actual self, that energy pulls through and is like, I need to learn more about what she's doing, or, how is that going to help me? So self, the method, is a way to kind of tease that out of you, and make you shine in your business. So,
What are some things that the people listening and watching this now can start implementing from self? The friction is one that always stands in my mind. What
yeah,
are the things that are not efficient in your business?
yes, yes,
So what are some things that they can do right now, these ladies?
yeah. So I think, understanding the difference between what you think you should be doing and what you actually want to do,
This is
right?
big in the financial industry, let me tell you. Because
Yeah,
we drink the Kool-Aid. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what compliance is telling me I have to do. And you look like you blend in. You look like
yes.
so that's huge.
Huge. Because once you understand like what you actually want to do, it lets you plan things out, right? I usually tell clients like when you're 80, what do you want to look back on and say you did? Because like the time is now, right? So there's no guarantee. You either need to be actively working towards those things or they're not going to happen. Like, so that's a big differentiator. Is just knowing what you actually want. And I think too, it's so important just to understand the community of the people you're around, right? And if they're actually supporting your goals and are excited for you, or are they kind of like the negative Nancy's who are just like, oh, that's nice, right? Or that's nice.
Passive aggressive remarks.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a very good point because we've had to shed some relationships, some employees and people that you don't realize how much that holds your business back until they're gone and then you take off. Oh, whoa.
Yes.
But it's like a hole in a sinking ship and it's going to bring you down.
Yeah. 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 It's huge. And, another part too, I think is like truly understanding your worth. Right. And that goes, as part of the financial mindset part and, you do so much with that, with all of us as a team as well. But really just like, understanding like there was a lot of jobs I worked after the gas station for $10 an hour because I was like, I guess this is what I charge. This is
The amount of money that I can get. And
Right.
sometimes it's, what can I get that's I know I can get.
Yeah.
And how many times do we see when they raise their prices, they don't sell, so they lower them right away.
Yeah.
And they fall into that trap.
Yeah.
It's like there's this invisible wall, this barrier we can't quite
Yeah.
seem to blast.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I did some traveling this year. You and I went on a trip together and, I was able to go out to LA as well one time and just to visit my brother and, just seeing what's outside of your normal zone, right? So when you see that and when you're enveloped in a different kind of world and environment like that, you're like, oh, right. Like people do have money to spend and they are excited to spend it when it's the right person. And like, so when you're creating things, creating offers and things in your business and you believe in it, like that's why you should be creating the offer is because you're like, this is amazing. This will change someone's life and be excited about it. And then price accordingly. Right. But knowing like there's money out there, right? It's a big
Getting into those different worlds levels of wealth has been same with myself. It's like I grew up my father's firm. I knew a certain amount of wealth and what a successful business would look like in his eyes.
yeah.
And that could just be your blueprint that you stick to, or are there other ways to grow and build? And I think, again, the trip that we went on for both of us was eye opening and
Yeah.
gave us this really to get us through the end of the year. So I agree, getting out of your world, talking with other people outside your industry, in your industry,
Yes.
is
Yes.
huge.
Yeah. It's all about who you surround yourself with. And
Yes.
yeah. And I know, when I, kind of started on my healing journey, creating that community was hard, right? Because you're gonna shed like those like familiar layers to you. And it's I've I don't really want to say like I was lucky the pandemic came along, but I think like that just was kind of a push for some of those like last final layers, right? Um I'm not a confrontational person, and I'm also not like a ghosting person, but you have to be like true to yourself and, know when something isn't the right fit. So,
Welcome to the Woman's Wealth Boutique. I'm Jessica Weaver, owner and founder of the Woman's Wealth Boutique. We are a female financial firm. We are literally built by women for women. I'm creating an all-women's firm for women by women, a safe place to have their voice, to stop being told what we can or can't say by these broker dealers, by these wirehouses, to stop trying to fit us into this mold that we're not meant to fit in. We're not men. Stop talking to us like we're men. Stop treating us like we're men. Our industry doesn't allow us to work with people who don't have enough assets to pay for our work. How do we help them though? How do we help prevent them from making mistakes? Well, that's why I have my books. That's why I have money courses. That's why I have my community for women who don't have the assets and are turned away from advisors and turned down from them time and time again. It's hard when we're all isolated on all these little islands to have a voice, to have a platform. But by coming together and being united on one platform, yes, you have your voice, but having a platform allows your voice to be heard, allows you to get out there and speak your voice, speak your mission. That's what it's about. There's nothing like what we are building out there right now. This is an opportunity. This is a movement of change. This is my purpose in life. To build this home, this platform for women advisors. And more importantly, for women clients. That's my purpose. I don't have a choice. I'm terrified as hell. I am nonstop having to make these huge decisions, hoping, trusting my intuition, leaning on God every day, every hour, that I'm making the right decisions for the advisors, for my clients, for me, for my family. This journey we're in, it's going to be more and more the status quo or huge changes and shaking up an entire industry. Shaking up an entire industry, which takes some balls. Do I have it in me? Yeah, I think I've been nice for too long. It's time to actually go for it and to let's do what's right, not just for us, but for other women advisors, for their clients, for the people that the firms tell us don't work with because they don't have enough money. Let's do what's right for them. And I'm just so excited to see what the future holds for the Women's Wealth Boutique. This is so exciting. We are doing something that's so different for the industry, so innovative, all for women. We are about education. We're about pulling behind the curtain so you can actually see what goes on when you work with an advisor. And each advisor on our team, on a growing team of women wealth advisors, target and work with a specific kind of client, whether you're going through a divorce, you're a woman business owner, you're an international woman. We have it all for you, and I'm so excited to see what the future has for the Women's Wealth Boutique.
I was going to ask you, and you just brought it up, have your relationships changed, especially on a personal side, even professional too? Let's say on both, as you've healed more.
yeah, I mean, I think I was lucky enough to be able to surround myself with amazingly supportive friends. Those kind of ride or die people who are like, I got you. Like,
I want to see you succeed instead of feeling
Yes.
jealous or
Yes.
resentment.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is like, you have to show up to that friendship authentically and be okay if they're not okay with it. Right.
It was people pleasing.
Yes. Like, if they're not okay with how you truly are, it might not work out as a friendship. Right. And that's okay too. So, it's like, surrounding yourself with that community. And I don't think I mentioned it, but so I am getting divorced now. We're separated. And, financially was, just stuck for a while in the marriage. And, knowing kind of ahead of time, feeling, what did I need that support community to look like if I was going to be a single mom? What does that need to be? Like who am I going to be, calling and crying with and, going through all these things with, and, who has your back for real? That's what you need to kind of look at, when you're on this. So,
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Another question to that. Have you seen your finances changed as you healed?
yes, well, 1,000,000%.
Do you lady?
Yes.
I'm curious, did you ever almost avoid trying to heal? Because we know when we're going to go through healing, we're going to have to feel something. We're going to have to feel something. We're going to have to go through the emotions. Are there times that you almost resist it?
Oh, yes. I mean, kind of what kicked off the whole healing journey was I was at like a super, super low place. I just had a miscarriage like 9 months or so before when I kind of kicked off the healing journey. And, I went to a therapy session because I just didn't want to be here anymore. I was like, this is my rock bottom. I don't want to be here anymore. And, at that point, I feel like my body had failed me. Like, what else could possibly fail in this, where I'm at right now? And, the therapist basically said to me, like, I explained all of my story to her, every little detail, like no holds barred, right? And she was like, well, you're an addict. And I was like, what? And she was like, you're numbing yourself with relationships and just living this like surface level life, right? And you're not being you. Yeah. Like, and so that's really what kind of kicked off the whole, kind of, okay, well, I knew I had to fix things for my daughter that I didn't want to live like this. And she needed a mom. And so, knowing like, with the, when you come from an abusive past, you often keep people at arm's length, right? Because, in my brain, it was like anything you love is going to leave, right? And so for me, it was incredibly hard to be a mom to her because I was like, if I love her too much, like something's going to happen to her.
Yeah.
And so it was incredibly, incredibly hard. And, so that was kind of the precipice that kind of kicked off everything. Was like, I just was like, I have to change this. This can't go on. And, going from there, I just did a lot of work. Right. And again, I didn't have any money then. That's when we were still no money. And did a lot of reading, a lot of self-help. I'm not like a therapy person. It wasn't the right fit for me. I only did that one session. And
I was going to ask, did you keep going?
Yeah. I did not.
Like she like lit a fuse and then just.
Yes. She ran away. Yeah. So, I just kind of knew, right? I was like, well, what does addiction look like? Right. And so then I knew like, okay, if I'm living this surface level, what does it look like underneath or above? Right. And so I had to dig myself out. And that's really what I spent the last bunch of years doing. And as I kind of peeled back the layers, things started coming into my life. Right. I met my amazing friend, Robin, who, just completely changed everything for me. She really just swept in and was like, what do you mean you're making $10 an hour? Like, what are you talking about? Because I really was doing the same work that I'm doing today then. And she was like, what? And, she just kind of changed everything for me. And just gave me an opportunity and a hand up. Right. And I always kind of say, like, it's never a hand up or it's never a hand out. It's a hand up. Right. Like, if you are willing to do the work, the right people will find you and will help you. And you can also, like, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't feel like you have to suffer with things. But so Robin came into my life and just got me a couple of, like, smaller jobs, but that were paying a lot more than what I was doing previously. And it just gave me enough confidence to be like, okay, like, I can pay my bills and I'll be okay. And, I got to the point where I knew I would be okay, leaving my husband. It was like just enough, right? Like that just enough money where, like, next year's going to be great. And then, so that was fall of 2019. And I think you and I had maybe just started working together then. Yeah. And, I was like, okay, I have just enough, like, I'll make just enough to leave fall of 2019 and 2020. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, it's like things keep going, right? Like, the world evolves and you evolve, but you have to put yourself out there to do that and to keep going. And I have to say, like, despite it being a pandemic year, 2020 was one of my highest years then to date. It was a huge year for me. And yeah. And being an entrepreneur, I was able, to stay home with my daughter when schools were closed and be flexible and work and in kind of the new role, as co-parents and things like that. So it's been an incredible journey, really. So
what a story. What is the future?
Yeah. So I think this year is book year. It's something I've kind of been, like, percolating on for a long time. I know you and I have talked kind of extensively about it.
I cannot wait for this book to come out.
Yes. And Girl at the Gas Station. So Girl at the Gas Station, I have kind of started sprinkling it, little hints in about it, but it's really kind of a part of our business where, as Ilissa & Co., we want to provide an offer for people who don't necessarily have the funds, but want to invest in themselves. And so a lot of the programs that you'll see coming out and, workshops or some of our services as well will have a Girl at the Gas Station option, whether it's lower cost or completely free.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we just want to give a little bit of a hand up. So
I really love that. The Girl at the Gas Station option. That's incredible. Well, everyone who's listening, watching, that you need to follow Ilissa & Company, our creative director. I mean, the future's so bright for you. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so we're mostly active on Instagram. So it's Ilissa & Co. And it's my name is spelled all messed up. So it's ILISSA and then ANDCO. But you'll find us on Instagram, IlissaandCo.com, all that jazz. But I love working with entrepreneurs on strategy and then our team helps you implement all the pieces that we have in place. So that way you have this, like, cohesive team and implementation behind you to really make those dreams happen. So
yeah, she's amazing. I call her our asset builder. She's able to pull all of our knowledge, experience, expertise. She can then pull it into assets that you can use to build traction, get prospects, clients, get paid on them. It's incredible. She works individually with each of our advisors who join the Women's Wealth Boutique. And I mean, they're all raving fans of Ilissa, as am I. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So grateful to be able to spend some time with you today on Women Behind the Millions, because you really are the women supporting behind the scenes. But now you're getting out there, you're shining your light, you're going bigger, go home. Because you tell me that every day. I'm going to tell you that every day. I've got your back. But thank you, Ilissa, for being on here. And I'm sure everyone is resonating with the Girl at the Gas Station, whatever that version is for themselves.
Yeah.
Or if they're there, reach out to Ilissa.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for being such a huge supporter of us and our mission. And thank you to all who listen, watch this episode of Women Behind the Millions. We are here to straighten the crowns and not knock them off. We tell you to get them out of your closet, dust it off, put it back on. Even if you're at the gas station right now, put it back on and start showing up. And I'm going to leave you with one thing. I love what Ilissa says. She tells herself on a daily basis that $100 is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think for this year, Ilissa, it's going to be $1,000 is not a lot of money.
I think so. For sure.
And for everybody listening, let's raise that bar. $100 isn't a lot of money. $1,000 isn't a lot of money. To charge, to earn, I started saying to myself, it's easy to make more money.
Yes.
It's easy to make more money because a lot of us have a similar storyline of it's got to be hard work. It's got to be a struggle. You have to sacrifice. Or can it be easy?
Yeah.
All right, Ilissa, thank you for being here with us. And you'll see more of Ilissa and company, especially as The Girl at the Gas Station comes out.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everyone. It's not just our money we're taking to the next level, it's our mindset, our emotions around money, even our spirit, our soul with money. And that's what's been missing all these years when it comes to traditional money management. So we put together money mindset meditations, harnessing our inner wealthy woman, letting her speak to us, feeling who she is, what that woman looks like. A lot of times we're trapped in this life for so long. I just had a call with a woman going through divorce. She said, I feel trapped for 20 years. It's going to take a lot to get her from that feeling of trapped in survival mode to embracing that true spirit, that power in her. So we put together these meditations, a whole series, a workbook taking you day to day to dive in deeper as you go through the books. And that's what I love. There's questions to prompt you, journaling, meditating, what to look at, really looking at what are my true limiting beliefs about money. The crazy thing is reality is just a mirror of what's inside of us. So if you are constantly putting out there that I'm not enough, I'm never going to have enough money, I'm never going to know any better, that's what's going to come back to you. And I see it all the time. I hear it with women, and I'll call them excuses, but like, I don't have enough time, I don't have money for this right now, I don't have it in me, I'm just stuck. Well, that's the reality that they are bringing to their life. So it's shifting and getting rid of those blocks, those barriers we don't even know exist yet. How do we push past those blocks, those barriers, so that we can have the wealth that we deserve, that we are after, and not feeling shy about it or guilty or greedy about it? Feeling grateful for what you have, but also striving for more. That's what these book bonuses really do help you with. Plus you get also my first book, Strong Woman, Stronger Assets. You get my second book, Time to Refine. And now here we have the spiritual side of money, how faith can come into play with money, how to find your purpose and align your money with that purpose as well, to just keep growing and being able to give back and make an impact in this world.